chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerned. You even hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to this show. Let's get on with the show. She will let you know. So tell it on the streets. Sabrina speaks. This is the beginning. Be ready to tune in. So tell your friends and family. Tell your brother and your sister. Tell your father and your mother. Tell all your friends and family. Shout it out, Sabrina. Speaking out, Sabrina. Talk about. Let it out. Shout it out. All about. Speak it out. People shout. We can't let go. This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
To day 3 of the Sabrina Speaks show right here on CMR TV. Now you'd understand our tardiness after yesterday bigging us up saying, that we have actually started on time. Who to tell? We're a couple of minutes late, but it was worth the wait because then we've got our song that was debuted. Thank you, Mr. Berman Scott, for definitely stepping up to the plate and making sure that you bring that Peppers vibe right here as we enter into the evening going home. I hope everyone had a wonderful day at work, was productive, and that you were busting at the seams. There's so much going on, Sandra. How are you feeling for today? I mean, this is day 3 for the strides that we have made.
Yes, no, I think that you have made some amazing strides. Yesterday, we got to just cop and admit to our mistakes. Turns out yesterday the board was not even connected. So I'm assuming, let me just check your audio and see where it's coming from.
Good night.
But I know, right? I'm assuming that we probably sound so much better today as well. Nobody said that we sounded bad yesterday, so I didn't pick up on the fact that I'm going to just check all the audio levels. But yeah, I didn't even pick up on the fact that there was an issue with the audio. So the reason why we couldn't hear that caller, we kept saying, hey, folks, call us because we need to test it. We need to make sure everything's good. And the reason why we couldn't hear him is because the board wasn't plugged in. What a mess.
It wasn't plugged into the phone. Nope. Leave it to us.
It wasn't plugged into the computer?
Nope, not at all.
Which is even worse. So don't ask.
We were so excited and eager to get in just to prove that we have checked all of these boxes. Yes. And guess what? We didn't plug it in.
I know. So listen, it's trial and by error, and we're getting there. So every
baseball
day
is 3 strikes and you're out. Today's day 3. So let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually put all good positive energy out in the universe. Absolutely. That it will go off like clockwork today.
Yeah.
No hitches.
We're absolutely getting there. So
really, Jim?
What can I tell you?
I'll take that as a compliment, Jim.
What can I tell you? At the end of the day, we're here, and that's the most important thing. And we've got a lot to cover today. Today was a really heavy news day, and it's even heavier for me because I've got stuff in the background that's happening, stories that I'm working on. I'm trying to give people opportunities to respond before we drop them. So I've got some really heavy stories. I don't necessarily want to talk about it until the story drops on the site, and then we, have more details to go by. So there's always things in the world of news and my stratosphere that I am working on, and that means a lot of days are just super crazy for me.
And some of these news will be breaking at various times of the day, maybe
and that's
after
why I
your
love an evening show, right?
Yeah, so that we can pick up, and anything
Exactly.
after your live streams ends, I can pick it up in the evening right here. But there's a lot going on. We've had a breaking news today with a formal charge of Mr. Devon Wright Jr. for the incident over there in the BRAC. So heart-wrenching. And there will be a press briefing. Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be doing a press briefing tomorrow evening at 4:00.
Yes.
So by this show starting at 5, I will be in tuned, and we can dissect that press briefing tomorrow evening right here on Sabrina Speaks. And I implore you, I invite everyone to tune in and actually be a part of that
and
once
we'll have
we get
the
it.
press briefing live as
Correct.
well.
So
So just type in a little message here. Sabrina says call now, because we're now in the new studio. So we are fine tuning a lot of different things on the back end for the show. So do a little capital C there for me. Yes, ma'am. And a little dash between the numbers.
You
There
go, girl.
we go. We click now and scroll, add banner, and then we click on it here, and kaboom, it's at the bottom.
That's right.
So I want to ensure that you guys know the number is 936-8255.
I want to send big shout outs to all of the persons who have been logged on and big supporters over there in the UK.
Absolutely.
Miss Laname, Miss Forbes, Miss Lucille Forbes over there in the UK. They actually stay up and to watch these shows, and we understand the time difference. And I want to let you know that the Caymanian community, everybody all over the world, even in the region, I've been receiving messages from our brothers and our sisters in the Caribbean region who is actually very supportive, very encouraging, and they're enjoying this fresh approach to this evening show. So thank you.
Yes, and Sean, big shout out to you. Sean says shout out from the Bluff. He's on the Bluff. Good morning.
There we go.
Oh, good morning. Peace and peace.
Good evening, caller. What's on your mind? What's on your thoughts? You're live on Sabrina Speaks.
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
I know we can hear you now.
Now,
the real test is if everybody else can hear you.
Is everybody hearing
So,
our VIP,
guys,
one of our VIPs, our loyalist to Sabrina Speaks?
So give us a little shout out, folks, if you can hear the caller.
Can you hear the caller this evening?
Just give us a little confirmation. And then if
it's hard to do a test and not go live. Like these
you have to
bloopers,
do it.
we're getting these bloopers like in real time. So I can see us 4 or 5 years from this recapping the first 3 shows.
We can hear. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in business.
Yay. Day 3.
Look at that. Look at that. Hit that kaboom button, girl. Nope. She got to get used to where the buttons are.
This is so funny. It is comedy, but again, it's all refreshing.
It's not supposed to be a comedy show, but caller.
And it's not.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We are good. We're
Can't
good.
you tell?
Thank you so much.
Busting at the seams here to get this
Yes.
show going. Did you hear our song at the intro? Thanks to Mr. Berman Scott. So we're going to have a video, some
Absolutely.
image for that for all of our viewers.
Yes,
Jim,
yes.
thanks for the thumbs up. Yes, they can hear you. Thank you.
But
Wonderful.
tell me something. I feel like I need to call you Auntie.
And to who?
Auntie Sabrina.
Auntie Sabrina, why not? Why not? Oh, I keep. Is that you or me? Which one is
I'm
you?
number 1. You're number 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me that keep increasing
In
your
this
volume.
studio, you're
That's
number
right.
2. Okay, you're number 2.
Tell me like it is. I keep increasing the volume for number 1. I'm so used to doing that one in the morning.
Okay,
And then I'm like, why is it not going up?
you're just not accustomed to being number 2 on
I
your
know,
own
right?
CMR TV.
Get used to it.
You guys, this is amazing, this good banter here. But it's all about community engagement and including you. Caller, what's in your thoughts? What's on your mind
Auntie
today?
Sabrina.
What are you sharing with Auntie Sabrina today?
Auntie Sabrina, I actually had questions yesterday about
Yeah.
this whole
Yes.
minimum wage thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to hear your thoughts, because I have my own thoughts, but I like to learn from other people. So I
Yeah.
have more questions than I think. So I wanted to ask, and I have quite a few. Please indulge me.
Mm-hmm.
With this minimum wage increase, right? Because now we have an about 46% increase from the $6 to the $8.75,
Mm-hmm.
right? What safeguards
Mhm.
think are in place to ensure that this wage increase doesn't disproportionately harm youth employment or low-skilled entry-level workers? That's my first question.
Okay, just repeat the question for me.
What safeguards? Go ahead.
What
Uh-huh.
safeguards,
Mhm.
if any, are in place to ensure that this wage increase doesn't disproportionately harm youth employment or low-skilled entry-level workers?
Mm-hmm. And your other, go ahead, because we're going to just have to, it may be the order of responding. Go ahead.
Okay. My next question, I guess, with the national minimum wage leaping nearly 46%, how do you foresee small hospitality or construction businesses who are already squeezed by inflated input costs? How do you see them coping without passing on higher prices to consumers
Mm-hmm.
in an already expensive market to, buy, build,
Mm-hmm.
that kind?
Right. Okay. Well, the first in response based, this is going off of what I was privy to and in collaboration with what was shared in the floor of Parliament, the safeguards that are in place. All of this information would be taken on the recommendations that was actually given to the government in order to reach into this point. Now, understanding they met with a number of industry stakeholders, and the key is that a number of these businesses were not paying minimum wage at $6, which is why yesterday I went into detail that it was more industry that were unscrupulous putting in, and it was those industries where grats were concerned that were really, when you dissect it all, was not paying the $6 an hour because they were using the grats to compensate. You understand? So the safeguarding measures, as you alluded to, for those entry-level persons, how they will not be disproportionate, would be based on the oversight, the watchdogs of who making sure that that does not happen. And that's the operational arm of government that would be responsible for making sure that that actually happens. Your legislators thus far, your elected MPs, have done what the people have asked to begin with the research and the recommendations from the minimum wage committee. The legislative arm have begun to move that scale. What you are alluding to in regards to safeguarding requires the operational arm of the government, which is what resources, manpower, policies that would be put in place so that that is actually will not become a reality. Okay. Are you following me thus far?
I'm following you. I have my own thoughts on them. Sandra knows them very well.
Okay.
But
And
with respect to that point, right?
This is not kicking the can down the road or pointing any fingers at the elected arm versus the civil servants. That is just facts. And this is by no means, and I know sometimes people can get in their feelings. I am here to speak the truth and to educate and to inform. A lot of times we use the word government loosely. And for the purpose of this vehicle, this show, we have to put context to a lot of it when you're having discussions like this. So this is not coming after any government department, any civil servant. I'm just explaining how it works. You have a law that was passed. How do you implement it? Who would be responsible for making sure that it's implemented, and all these safeguarding measures that you're alluding to actually put in place so that what you're saying don't happen is the operational arm of government, which would then fall on the shoulders and the responsibilities of the various departments that we will be responsible for that, which in turn, in this case, will be the civil servants. Now, how that happens is either working smarter, not harder? Do we mean we need to employ more people, or we just need to actually, based on a department that has the mandate, do you have to then look at more resources, more manpower to make that happen? But that part now then would rest on the shoulder of the civil service, aka Mr. Franz Manderson, who would be responsible. There would be a lot of dialogue as well with the department that would be responsible for that, or for the ministry that would be responsible for making that into a reality. Now, where you hold that minister, the government responsible, accountable, is making sure that after that law now that is in effect come January, that these people are not placed at a disadvantage. That minister will then be responsible for holding their chief officer accountable to make sure that these measures are put in place. And of course, you will know whether or not it's working because the people will be speaking. In regards to the small businesses, because we have established.
Let me, can I
Go
just
ahead.
chime in?
Sure, go
Caller?
ahead.
Caller, are you still there? Oh, did he hang up?
No.
Oh,
No,
you're
he's still there.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, I had
Can
a
you hear me?
question though, because when you said disenfranchisement, I thought of something else. So can you clarify? Because I'm not sure what you actually meant by
Entry
that.
level, lower skilled.
Right. What did you, how do you envision them being disenfranchised?
Well, I mean, my view, only my opinion,
Mhm.
but in my view, I see quote unquote minimum wage type jobs really for those who are just now entering into the workforce,
Mhm.
i.e., young people,
Mhm.
or the retiree, house already been paid, bills have been paid, they're just looking for something to do to pass the time,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
How squeezing them out, how do I put it? If I'm a business owner,
Uh-huh.
right? Let's say I have a shop, right? I have Sandra at the cash register. I have Auntie Sabrina at stocking shelves, and I have I don't know, somebody else sweeping the floor,
Yeah.
right? Not all of those are on the same level.
Mhm.
We don't think of it as very high, very intricate work, but those things are not really high level jobs. But even within those three jobs that I just explained to you, I have a cleaner, I have a cashier, and I have somebody who stocks the shelves, right? Those are different skill sets, right? So let's say that I'm giving a person just sweeping the floor, I'm only giving them, let's say, $3 an hour. That's what they agreed.
No, but that would be illegal because nationally come
Hold on,
January.
wait a
Okay.
minute, wait a minute. I'm just talking about for the sake of my
Oh, okay. Oh,
the
you're
core
under.
minimum wage, right?
Mhm.
So I've given that one, they agreed $3 an hour because that's all the floor. I have Sandra, I'm paying her dollars an hour to run the cash register.
Mhm.
And I'm paying you, Auntie Sabrina, for stocking the shelves, and because that requires now greater weight,
Mhm.
and you have to, it's more physical.
Mhm.
I offer you $8 an hour.
Mhm.
Now comes somebody who says they put a floor in place. They say, no, can't pay that one $3 an hour. You have to make it, and you have to make it $6 an hour, right?
Mhm.
The person who floor, they're grinning because they're going to get $3 an hour, or
More.
so they think,
Mhm.
right? But when I say affecting those skilled workers, if I'm a business, remember I go into money, right? And if you're putting an artificial cost on me, I'm going to look to cut costs in other ways.
Mhm.
So I have a few options at my disposal.
Right.
The law says that I have to pay $dollars.
Yeah.
So what do? Do I do the noble thing and do I cut into my business profit? I could. I mean, I don't know many businesses that would do that because it sort of, undermines the reason of going into business in the first place.
Mhm.
Or do I exercise the option where I say to the super, I said, well, you know what? I can't pay you $dollars an hour for just sweep. So I'm going to let you go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Sandra and Auntie,
Your stalker and your cashier doing that
They're
job, possibly.
they're going to be doing that job, right? Or I go with option. I pass that cost on, I say, okay, well, now all of the goods in my store have gotten more expensive. So the customers lose out on that. Or I reduce everybody's benefits. I say, well, you know what? I'm going to open, instead of opening from 9 to 6, I'm just going to open from 9 to 3. And what that does is that reduces your hours. So yes, you might be making more per hour, but you're losing out on at least 3 more hours of work per day. And that will add up over the week, right? So now when somebody else, now when the government comes in and says, now we're going to raise that even higher, right? I, as a business, might look at it and say, you know what? I see Walmart doing these self cash out cashiers. You know what, Sandra here? What Lou? I'm gonna put in a self checkout cashier in place. I'm gonna start automating stuff. And I struggle to understand, does minimum wage really benefit? If not, for those who are just coming in the workforce, or those, like I said, who are retirees, who are just looking for something to do. You're not supposed to live on minimum. Nobody is supposed to live on minimum. Right? So when I say, to answer your question, Sandra, where I'm coming from when I say those who are going to be disenfranchised, right? So for example, in a Cayman context, given that almost 21% of our workforce earns very low or wages, could a uniform wage hike risk job losses or increased automation in low-skill sectors? We're already in an age of AI, right? And AI is taking over.
Oh yeah, fast.
It's taking full force, right? So yeah. Anyway, hopefully I answered you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, listen, without a doubt, there will be some companies who are not going to be able to survive this. This will always happen, right? How many, only God knows. But if they were tethering already on the brink of, you know, I'm going to shut my doors because I can only afford to pay someone $6 an hour. I don't know what their goods and services are, but they probably weren't making a profit anyway. I've got one, I'm not going to call any industry, but I've got one vendor that I deal with. And if he finishes a job for me today at 3 o'clock, at 3:05, he's sending me an invoice. And at 3:15, his invoice becomes urgent to pay. And I'm always like, why are you I got to pay my guys. Today's Friday. And I'm like, why are you always so pressed to pay your guys? That means that you have no cushion in your business whatsoever. And that is a very dangerous position to be in. And what is even more interesting is I've been hearing little trickle down comments. None of his staff have come to me yet, but I've heard that he's also a type of person that isn't even paying staff. And, you know, staff are not getting paid. And, you know, every turn around, this person jumping on the plane and taking a trip. And so there are business owners who will have fiscal issues and financial management issues because they have poor practices. And it really has less to do with the minimum wage. There is
it's how they're managing their income and expenditures.
Absolutely. There's a guy who does, I can't think of his name right now, but he does financial advice, right? And he talks about people who are the millionaires, teachers, and this one and that one. And he says the point is, it isn't how much you make, it's what you do with it that matters. And so there are a lot of businesses that are not operating correctly. They're not profitable because of poor business practices, poor fiscal management practices. And so if they go under as a result of this increase in minimum wage, then it is what it is. What we can't tolerate as a country are people who are going to think that they can stay in business. The business owner will continue to pad their own pocket, and then the workers suffer. So those are the people who are going to ignore the law. And they're going to try to, not pay minimum wage, or, as you say, trying to make one person do 5 jobs. That can't work.
No, but stick up in. Again, this is just me, devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
I like to think myself as the devil pro bono, but when it comes to, but that's why I asked with my question, what safeguards would be put in place to ensure? Because yes, there may be some business owners who are unethical. There may be, many more businesses, they do things ethically. They just can't afford this.
Yes.
Now it say, okay, well, fine. Well, if some businesses go under, they go under, but then that leaves working for one of those businesses without a job.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we have another problem of unemployment, right? So
Having
that's why
said
I'm
that, though,
asking,
you're always
what
going to have
safeguards?
businesses going under. So, I mean, you can't save every business. That's a reality of like the real world and stuff as well. So, I
No,
suppose, you know, there will be
no, but
businesses who will naturally fail.
not, but that's what I'm saying. That fail naturally on their own, just by the laws of the market. But to
Mhm.
put an artificial barrier now, right? That's why I'm asking, like, my central question, right?
Mhm.
What safeguards will be put in so that this wage increase doesn't harm our young people who are going into employment
Mhm.
or our low skill level workers? Those are the ones that I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's the same safeguards that exist now, which means that, you know, you have to know the labor law. If someone is being abused, they can't sit back and do nothing to help themselves. And even young people, you know, we need to do more educating of our young people as they enter the workforce to let them know that you can't go into a job and have someone working you in 4 or 5 different positions. You need to speak up about that type of thing. Now, I think the truth of the matter is those companies will be labeled as, you know, really poor employers, and not many people are going to want to work for them, probably except for the work permit holders. And this is where the work permit holders become ripe for abuse. And this is so incredibly unfortunate. But I think we have to recognize the disadvantage that work permit holders are under. And that's why so many people love a work permit holder, because they can hold stuff over their head.
Right.
And if you don't do this and this, I'm going to cancel your work permit. And then you have to go home. And for them, going home is a far worse option than staying here and being abused. I mean, I've had a lady from, I think she was from Honduras, cry to me one day because she was featured on CMR owing people money. And when she came, she's like, "Will you take the money and go pay it for me?" And da da da. Come to find out, she's basically here working at minimum wage and can't afford to live on that. And so she was like, you know, people are telling her, go find a boyfriend, go prostitute yourself, go do this, go do that. There's so many illegal activities in this country that are currently thriving because people, work permit holders specifically, are at a not livable wage. But she would rather, and I said to her, why don't you go home? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to starve at home. That's what we think, because that's our limited view of, you know, if you live in Cayman, I can call Sabrina and beg her for a cookie
that you brought,
or a plate of, you know, stew conch or whatever.
Yeah.
Most Caymanians are not truly going to starve, right? That's why the food bank is under so much pressure. When you go and look at the food bank line, a lot of times it's not even Caymanians in the food bank line. It is the work permit holders, because they are barely making it here. But guess what? What they have here is still better than home, because at home, she's like, I'm not even in a safe environment. I got to worry about people robbing me and raping me and even killing me. At least in Cayman, the chances of those types of things happening are far less. Yes, I might be struggling to pay my little bills and struggling to send money home, but I'm still safer. I can live in an okay house, you know, a little apartment, even if it's one little room. It's not as bad as where I'm coming from. And that really hit me hard, because I'm like, damn, where are you guys coming from? But that is still sad, because we shouldn't be forcing anyone here, even the expat workers, to live in such deplorable conditions. And somebody sent me some pictures yesterday that if you saw those, this so-called apartment, by the way, that NEU is paying $1,400 a month for. It is not livable. It is disgusting. It's a disgrace. And yet that's where our people are actually living too.
But it goes back again to the operational arm of government and enforcement. It goes back, because that is money that's being paid out. Who is proving that we're getting value for money? Policies are lacking. And it goes right back around to who is enforcing, who is making sure that laws are not being broken.
See what this person here says.
Labor board doesn't really listen.
Says labor board doesn't really listen. This is one area. I don't know who labor falls under now.
That is still Michael Miles.
That's Michael
labor,
Miles.
Yeah, pension.
So
labor.
This is one area that has got to be reformed, because the number of times, if I had $1 for every person that said the labor board, whatever it is that they do, they don't feel like that's working, I would probably be on my way to being pretty wealthy, because it's a lot of complaints that we get. But caller, Thank you so much. And thank you again for testing your line.
I will do my endeavor best to see if I can get, because there is a press briefing that is scheduled, I think, for next week and more in regards to this minimum wage. But if I'm able to, not that I'm going to take the wind out of their sail, but to directly answer what safeguarding measures. And I think I'm well on the way with how I grazed it. That would be the most sound thing to do. Looking at the enforcement arm, identifying which department, which ministry will be responsible for actually putting in those safeguarding measures, and see what they are going to actually put in place, whether it's resources or manpower needed, that they can have so-called a watchdog over these things so that these things don't happen. But unless people are vocal and actually report these things without being fearful of getting in trouble or being blackballed, you would never know these issues, like the situation that Sandra alluded to with the work permit holder. These people are scared to honestly speak out with what they are going through, because life is still better despite them not being able to live off of $6 an hour. It's still better than where they're coming from when they do the exchange rate. But caller, I will do my best to see if I can get some response so that I can give you ahead of the press briefing, or if they're actually listening. Let's hope that this is one of the things that they will be actually covering in that press briefing. But we will be listening, and I will be dissecting it as well based on the timing of that press briefing, so that we can break it down right here on Sabrina Speaks.
All right, thank you so much. I look forward to it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, caller. And I don't know if he was speaking a little bit low, but I do think the call was a little bit low. So just let's make sure the volume and the phone is up and stuff as well. But yeah, thank you so much for that, caller. That was very, very interesting comments. And, you know, of course, this is, you know, this is one of the things that is always a concern, is that those who can least afford to be taken advantage of are always the ones who are being taken advantage of. And that is a sad indictment on not just the system here in Cayman, but all over the world. So you got a number of persons here, Sabrina, chiming in. So I've started a few for you.
Okay.
So we can go back to those. But you can always scroll up and down here, and then these are where your starred ones are at.
Okay, good.
So
hi, Shaq. Welcome, Shaq. That's the other Shaq.
Yes. Not Shaka Zulu, just
Shaq. Yeah, I realize it now. Shaka Zulu. Wait, he's been.
He's there. We coming.
Oh, for Drew? Okay.
Yes, my dear.
Where can I find your campaign song? Vote for Sabrina to listen. Okay. I will put it up here. Let's take this call. Good evening. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind? You're live.
Good evening, ladies. I just want to thank the previous caller. That young man is always so, I mean, I've told Sandra, who is he? Because he is my spirit human. He gets it out. He is so on point. But nonetheless, I heard, Miss Sabrina, this is Siobhan, by the way.
Yes, hi, Siobhan.
I heard
Thank you for calling.
make you said a word earlier that triggered me. And you said blackballed. Blackballed.
Yep.
Right? And Sandra and I would have known we've had this conversation very recently. And I want to kind of move away from the minimum wage topic. Her and I have had at length discussion about that, which I think is not where we should be going, but nonetheless, that's another conversation for another day. Today, the country, and I'm not sure if you guys have caught up to it yet. Hopefully, I know Sandra's always on the ball, but there was a press release issued.
I could get there. I still in training.
well on your way. Well on your way.
Just a little
this one said, you're not doing bad. You're not doing bad. You're not doing bad. Right? But there was a press release issued earlier today about a local law firm, a local prominent law firm, who had been fined for basically evading and circumventing the law by not hiring Caymanians. What was most disappointing, disgusting,
and they wouldn't name who these people are.
They were not named.
Okay, don't worry. You know,
they were not
I got name them.
Everyone.
I'm going to name them.
Everyone who, as a person who works in the financial services industry, have been a part of the industry for almost 2 decades. This type of abuse
so
is
ridiculous.
rampant.
Yes.
It is rampant.
Yeah.
It is rampant. And when you go to the labor board to let them know, this isn't just a minimum wage problem. Minimum wage workers are being abused. And I am not here to say that anyone should be abused.
Right.
But guess what? People at the top, especially Caymanians, are also being abused. And we have no recourse. We have no recourse. When we go to the Department of Labor, if you can get someone, by the way, if you can get them, if you do not have the money to foot the bill for an attorney, you are left with very, very little assistance. Okay? Caymanians are constantly being targeted, being pushed out of their jobs with no regard, no recourse. And most recently, I had a friend of mine who this happened to most recently. And you know, there was a case where, you know, it was kind of like, oh, well, they kind of unfairly dismissed you, by the way. And so I was kind of helping her go through the law about it. And turns out that in actuality, she was unfairly dismissed. And when you look at the penalties for unfair dismissal, it equates to the same thing as being made redundant. How can that be? Where unfair dismissal is an illegal act. It should be treated with scorn and disdain. I actually spoke to someone from the Labor Department and I'm saying, how can this be? How is this okay? What kind of deterrent? And I said, the penalties for this type of egregious action, you can wake up today and just decide, you know what, I actually don't like Sandra. I don't want her here. And I'm going to find some lawyer, and I'm not knocking the industry because everybody has an obligation to their client. You can wake up and find some cockamamie excuse to get rid of Sandra because you don't like her. Because you don't like her. When you speak to the legal fraternity about the loopholes in the Labor Act and in the Immigration Act, they look at you and say, hey, we kind of have an obligation to our client. Our client comes in and says, hey, we actually don't like Sandra. We don't want her here anymore. How do we get rid of Sandra legally without egg on our face? A lot of these companies are able to cut a check, 100,000, 200,000, and they get away scot-free. And we are left holding the bag. We are left holding the bag. And here comes the magical word, blackballed in the industry. Well, you don't want to be blackballed in the industry, but you don't want, listen, Sandra can't get a job now because despite being probably one of the most qualified professionals in their arena, those persons can't get a job because they reported illegal acts.
And you see, any new employer is going to ask, "Where was your last place of employment?" And even if so it's a revolving. It goes right round, and you know that it's the reference is not going to be in your favor, or sometimes it doesn't even have to happen because our pool and our island is so small. News travel very quickly, and they will actually make one statement: "Oh, well, that one is a liability. Stay far from that one because that one is connected." And just something that simple can block somebody's income. Just a statement that simple because of the dynamics and how small our island is.
But the question for me is not only why aren't employees being protected? Why are companies so comfortable offending? Why aren't these people made to pay? Why, first of all, just on the topic of unfair dismissal, it should be a deterrent. It should maybe 1 week for every year may cripple a small business, but we are creating legislation not to deter people. We are creating legislation that just kind of gives you a slap on the wrist. I'm sorry, it may affect the small business. Maybe small businesses shouldn't be out there offending either. Maybe, how about that? Who wants to be abused? Who wants to be abused?
Listen, here's the thing, right? About them not being named. I feel particularly aggrieved by this because I've even responded to the WRC department who sent out the press release and said, who is this? Which company is this? Because when you when you commit a criminal offense, that's open court. This isn't any closed court session where they should not be named. They should be named. And I am going to find out who they are because that is a matter of public record. So if you notice that we haven't published it yet, we are not publishing it until I know who they are. And trust me.
I don't phone send it to you.
If I have to go,
I'll phone send it to you.
Okay, if I have to go down to court tomorrow and look at the file myself, I will look at the record and I will see exactly who it is. I have a suspicion that I already know who it is based on a couple different things. And you know me, Detective Sandy got her hat on, working hard this afternoon.
They got their navel string.
Oh yeah, they don't know. They don't know me. I'm worse than a dog.
But again, just based on the information that we have in the press release and information that I understand based on who I understand the firm to be, one of the largest employers in this country, the firm is littered with work permits. What is government? Now that you know that ABC Limited has been fined for criminal acts contrary to the immigration transition.
Let me say
transition law.
If it's
give me one second. Right? We know that these people have been fined for that, right? How does the public, thank God, and hats off to the individual who actually had the courage, the tenacity, and everything to say, this is not okay. I am speaking up. Toss it what it will. Companies ought not to feel so comfortable doing this. But for me, the bigger question is for the legislators, what are you going to do to ensure, now that we know that this person has abused the Immigration Transition Act, has abused the work permit system, what measures are you going to put in place to ensure that Caymanians are no longer disenfranchised? What are you going to do? You haven't named them. You haven't said what special measures you're going to take to ensure that this no longer occurs. The most common response from people is, well, I can't say anything because I need my job, as if the rest of us don't. As if the rest of us don't. And I'm saying, yes, it's a heroic David and Goliath act, but if everybody takes that position and legislators kick their feet up and say, our hands are tied because of the laws, it is their job to fix the law. The law must protect the minority. It must. And I'm just looking on and saying, why are these companies, and this is only but one. We don't go to the labor tribunal and see the number of infractions and settlements that have been paid out. So similar or worse. And those people still have the nerve to have a work permit application go through the department. And I assure you, it's being granted. Where is the punishment? Where is the deterrent? I'll leave you there.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. And it means a lot to have you engage in this manner. And it opens up into a wider question when you look at then the loud cry for immigration reform. Then it looks at the issuance of work permits, what the requirements are for that. Now that this is actually a legal matter, that it has been decided on, what's going to happen now with that company in regards to all future work permits being putting in?
They should be vetted very carefully.
And this is one of the things from my days back in immigration, where you were talking about the accreditation system. That is also something that possibly need to be looked at as well, because that created more of exactly what I was alluding to in regards to the minimum wage, a more oversight because of it being based on points. You had more overview of operations of these, and they were credited when they were doing the things right. And then they had points that were removed from them when they weren't doing things so right. So maybe this opens up that avenue for consideration with this ruling being the way it is, for them to look more deeper than this time around for the accreditation system for how employers actually employ people. So it's going to be interesting, Sandra.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I'm disappointed that WRC wouldn't name them. Seems like they're afraid to do so. But this is, I guess on the one hand, they're probably going to say, oh, it's an administrative fine, but it's still a criminal offense. So we have to start getting to the point where we name individuals. We know who these companies are that are offenders. This is something in the public interest. So say, for example, I go now and apply to, I don't know, Maples, Walkers, whoever this is. I go and apply to one of these companies, even as an applicant, wouldn't that information be useful to me as a Caymanian to say, oh, I'm going to apply for this job, but this company has a history of not even considering applications from Caymanians, not even saying that a Caymanian actually applied for the position. And so therefore, I need to make sure I copy WRC in my application.
But you said something just now. Do you think that the reason for not naming the organization was because it was an administrative fine versus something that went to court? You think that was the differential?
No, I think these civil servants, unfortunately, are too scared.
But if they're doing it in accordance to law, then it wouldn't be anything wrong. I'm just for conversation purposes.
I mean, they just seem scared to me, like they don't want to name people. And they're like, oh, put in an FOI. I'm like, why should you have to FOI that? You know, that's ridiculous. But these companies have a way, and especially if it's a law firm, they do have a way of scaring the death out of people, or the life out of people, I should say. Oh, we're going to sue you, and putting real fear in people. And that's really, really quite unfortunate, because there's not that many people that are going to name them.
Right.
So I'm waiting for confirmation, because I know who it is, and I will be naming them. So y'all sit there.
Okay, well, definitely you have to stay tuned to CMR TV and for the other content providers to provide you with that information.
It's not defamation if it's accurate. That's all I can tell y'all.
There you go. But just looking into the whole temperature
girl, you got over
recruitment.
200 people. You got 182 over there. Plus you got Instagram.
I feel like my eyes are going like this. Folks. Yes, Instagram. You know, Sandra, you brought that to my attention in regards to the people on Instagram. And we were just picking up her Facebook because that's what I'm seeing. But Instagram, you're not forgotten at all. Thank you for your support. And definitely as we continue to grow this platform here in the evening, topical conversations, definitely refreshing way of delivering it, but still being respectful into engaging in these very thought-provoking conversations. And definitely as we dissect what it means for us, the future moving forward, the status of our well-being here, the quality of life is all impacted by everything that you're saying here. Yes. So it is very, I'm encouraging you to participate in these conversations.
Is learning on the job, so you'll hear me interject certain things. You see this person here, this is a spammer. So sometimes we accidentally put their comment and screen and realize it's a spammer.
Okay.
So with spammers, we can get rid of them. We just hit that little 3 dots, say block user.
Okay.
And normally when we block them, it should delete the comment as well. If it doesn't, we go back and do the same thing and delete it.
Okay.
So we're just deleting some spam. We're talking about they're looking for steady
profitable
income.
Oh Lord.
There was another one who claimed that they were looking for a wife or some foolishness. I'm like, this is the wrong show, honey child.
It's too early in the afternoon. Hint, hint. Maybe there's another show.
See this next one? Dear single Christian ladies.
Oh, good God.
Well, his name is Francis. You are now blocked.
What a mess.
Yeah, stop wasting your time here, please.
Not on Sabrina Speaks.
not on CMR, not at all. We're not interested. Not enough Caymanian single Christian ladies being taken advantage of already, chill. Don't y'all fall for that. Nobody messages these crooks neither. Don't tell me I met him on Sabrina's show.
Yeah, right. That an advertisement I want.
She's the matchmaker. All right, so let's go back to a few
of our comments.
Of the comments here.
Kevin, you got your cookies.
Yes, honey child. How were they, Kev? Magdalene has a comment.
Okay, let's go, Mag. Most businesses try to get more efficient. Some local banks don't even issue statements again, and some businesses will look at how they conduct their businesses. But this is quite interesting because under I'm going to call it immigration law so people understand what I'm talking about. Enforcement, let's say, for example, there's an investigation going on. Do you know that there are powers under the law, if a company is under investigation, that they can go in and ask for your payroll records? Those enforcement officers literally have that right to go in and see all of that. So this is something, as Sandra alluded to, where those businesses are running pretty much on fumes. You should be online, or you download a folder. If you're not that technically savvy, banks still actually give you the choice whether or not if you go and ask for it for your statements, you can get that in hard copy. But if everybody pretty much is doing online banking, I'd say predominantly a large amount of us are doing our businesses online, you can actually go in real time now and get those bank statements. So there is no excuse, even using QuickBooks, what's coming in, what's going out, and you can have your folders and all that sort. Those are education segments, Sandy, that I think we need to just break it down for people based on the demands. But these are simple things. For example, this is a new venture for me. Everything that I have actually invested in, bought, has to be plugged in to QuickBooks so that I'll know what my startup costs for this chapter of my life, for this business that I've started just on Monday. I have to know what the startup costs, from the laptop to the phone that Sandra made me go to buy because her board just did not want to comply with my bargain phone, to all of the panels to lower the cost, the echo in the room, to the lighting, to the mic, all of these things.
They don't see it.
All of these things I have to plug in to QuickBooks. So right now, if I even had a finance person to say, well, where is Sabrina for this new business venture? Sabrina's in the red. You know why? Because I'm not making any income from
it's an investment.
It is an investment that I'm investing into this business. Now, let's say it gets bigger. I get to the point where I'll need a camera person or a lighting person. I should know what that is going to be only after I see where I can clear my way on sponsorships and all that sort of stuff until the business build that momentum. But you're rightfully say it, Magdalene. There are ways that persons can actually know what their income is, what their expenses.
No camera person, I keep you on a budget.
Well, AI is doing everything because right now this is zooming in, zooming out. I'm seeing you doing all sorts of fancy dancy things here, but it goes right back to our first one of our VIP callers.
Creators on a budget show.
We're going to go smarter, and AI is going to take place.
So what a lot of business owners don't get to, Sabrina, it's not even how much you're out there spending. It's really what you're doing for it in terms of the bargain that you're getting.
Yeah.
So you can do more with less in a lot of instances, but some businesses
just don't
so
have
far behind with the technology and everything else, you don't even get it.
And the culture.
Yeah.
People are averse to change. They're scared, because for me to tell you that I wasn't scared, like I couldn't understand Sandra saying, okay, I'm going to need a camera. And I kid you not, the camera right now that I'm using, this pen is actually longer than that camera. And the quality that you're seeing. So it's amazing where we're going, how we're going to have to pivot to the next chapter to make your business, even your business may have to change their model in order to survive, in order to remain competitive. So you can't just get stuck into what feels comfortable. It goes back to the very first debut interview that I had with Sandra. I have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable in order to make it in the next chapter. So it's very interesting. This is going to be a very interesting journey, Sandra.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get it that I kind of push people just a little bit out of their comfort zone.
Oh, a little bit? Your little bit is a lot.
But look at
here we are on day 3.
I believe in awarding people. She already got cookies. And look at what I brought you today.
Oh Lord, another one.
This one you can use for display purposes. But it was in the car, so I hope it not melted yet. Okay, but this is an oversized Ferrero Rocher chocolate. That's how big it is. It fits like in the palm of my hand.
Sandra, you use the word oversized. Thank you.
Normally they're like this big.
This is Sandra's way of communicating. I love you, Sabrina.
Yes, I am a giver. That is my love language. I am a giver. So now you can put that in your desk and that little stuff in the corner. Tell people don't eat it. You can't eat it. But
there's some wanderers that comes in the studio. I got put do not enter.
It is for aesthetics purposes. Yes.
Well, I want the feedback. How are you liking the backdrop in the corner over Sandra's?
I think you should move that clock though,
Yeah, I will move the clock.
Okay.
The clock will move.
I think the clock should be over that little table.
But the stand behind you, over your shoulder, I just didn't want it to be dead.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah. So let's say hi, Marshall. I saw you commenting. You were early to the show. Thank you so much.
Cookies were delicious.
Yes, Miss Marjorie Bancroft.
Listen, I want to say this because Amanda says that they're not scared to put out the name of the small companies. I'm an equal opportunity person when it comes to naming people. Y'all should know this already.
Right.
I don't care who you are. Once you engage in certain illegal and unlawful behavior, you should be named. So I don't care if this is Maples. I don't care if it's Walkers. All my friends, hi Maples, all my friends at Walkers, hello. You know, you guys do great things, but you have to follow the law at every turn.
Right.
And the worst part for me is that these organizations have the resources. Their excuse can't be what little small companies, oh man, we don't have enough people, whatever. They're making millions of hundreds of millions, potentially dollars, right? Partners are getting drawdown. When I was there back in the day,
right,
a base salary of $25,000 per month.
Wow.
And this was back in the early 2000s. 25 grand a month, and then drawdowns on like partnership bonuses and money and all kind of stuff. They make money hand over fist. I ain't got no issues with people making $1.
Right.
But you don't get to just shock off or shred off or whatever the word is I'm looking for, shrug off your responsibilities when it comes to the law. And especially when doing that means that the Caymanians get the short end of the stick. No. You come to this country, you guys are, a lot of you have status now, you're living in your multi-million-dollar homes, good for you. But you don't get to live that kind of lifestyle in this country and do it at the detriment of the Caymanian workers. Give Caymanians a fair share of the pie. That's all we're asking for. This is our country. We're not asking for anything or demanding anything that isn't fair. And you guys know me, because somebody brought up a conversation on social media. I think it was earlier this morning. They're like, should there be a requirement for companies to have a certain percentage of Caymanians hired, employed? And I said, as an employer, I can see, especially for the smaller companies, how that could be a real issue. You need to look at companies individually, case by case, right? One of the people that decided to comment in the section is a young man who can't hold a job no matter what. And I'm like, oh Lord, he of all the people. I said, come on now, boo-boo. You're not an example of the kind of Caymanians that we're like advocating for. Because you can't hold a job. You go to a job, you're stealing. You're taking off from work pretending that you're sick. You're the example, you're the problem that a lot of these foreign companies and expats look at and say, oh, this is the Caymanian that we don't want. And then they try to put all of us in that same box.
Right.
But the average person, the average Caymanian is not like that individual. So don't judge us by one wide stroke. We are different. And Caymanians, there are some Caymanians are some of the most hardest working people ever. They have multiple jobs and they're working hard for every little thing that they get. So if you're a big firm, you have no excuse. And that is why you should be named. You shouldn't get the protection of not being named. And so, like I said, you know, Detective Sandy in a job.
Well, the next chapter to this is making sure that people are comfortable in actually finding the nerves, getting the strength to go and report.
Yes.
And that speaks volumes for whatever agency or department that we have in place that are there to protect persons who feel as though they're being treated unfairly. And then you look also at the same time at legislations where that can be bolstered up so that people don't feel that it's a waste of time, literally, or that they will actually be not treated fairly based on processes and procedures, which is sad. We should never be a jurisdiction like that where people are not comfortable going to report, be it locals or persons that are on work permits, that, you know, again, familiarity, Sandra, because there may be somebody working in a department that you go in, and I noticed one of the commenters here were saying about confidentiality is a big thing it is a big thing. And some of these departments, you go in just for information, and you may have to share what you are experiencing with your employers. It has been alleged that by the time you get back to work, sometimes your manager or supervisor or the owner of the company knows that you were actually inquiring. So we need to be able to understand the roles that we play in some of these departments, and understand the importance of confidentiality. And when people actually come, sometimes they're just exploring to know what their rights are. And, it's not something for them to take out. You have to take your job seriously and understand your responsibility, your role in protecting that person who is your customer, especially when they're coming in for their own rights.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a case where I go in and I try to get advice that by the time I get back to my workplace, I'm getting the stinky eye. Or get called into an office because rumor has it that someone saw you going to the labor board. That should not be the case.
Yes. And, the reality is, I remember when I worked at a particular law firm, AKA Maples, I saw a lot of people, they would complain to me, they would complain to other coworkers, but they were afraid to go and make a formal complaint. And I remember one of the partners said to me one day, one of the Caymanian partners, she said, Sandy, you have got to stop taken up for your own Caymanians, because you're the one who's in my office again.
Oh, wow.
Being called in and being hauled in and whatever. And the Caymanians that you're trying to speak up for, because this is another issue that is not even your concern. Where are they right now? And she made a point, because I'm sitting there looking behind, all I can see is the tumbleweeds. They're not behind me, honey child. They're not supporting me. Wow. So Caymanians have to find their voice. But I say that also knowing that there is real fear. And I understand the fear. So when I tell people that I don't really live with any fear of repercussions, I know that that's a crazy statement to make, right? Because nobody ain't going to fire me. But you know what happened when they couldn't come for me?
What?
They came for my husband's job.
Oh, Lord. So when a fallen head, fallen shoulder. And this is what we're going right back to.
I get it.
Your family can be impacted.
Absolutely.
Good evening, caller. What's on your mind and you're live on Sabrina Speaks.
Take that.
Good evening, beautiful ladies.
Good evening.
Lovely. How are you?
I just want to greet on with some little thing, then I got something to say.
Okay.
Hi, she brought out the bell.
The cowbell.
She brought out the bell.
Sandra, thank you for the gift. I went and received it today, just after the show yesterday.
Wonderful.
And I got something that I've been wanting, so thank you very much,
that's so nice.
And actually, the girl that gave it to me is family to me, and I didn't even know.
Oh, really?
Yes,
wow.
ma'am.
Very nice.
My son, he said, Mommy, you don't know her? And then he told me, so they tell me, I said, I Kamana Bay. And I went, so thanks again.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I want to say that caller that called in earlier, I don't know who she was, but she struck the nail 400 times on the head, because I keep saying that too, that, I've been on your show, Red, and I tell you that Caymanians are kicked out because I got approved. And I got to say, what? Because they don't want me on this talk show talking, whatever. But that's true. They got own foreigners where the person was working, and he the only Caymanian, and because they couldn't do what they do, the other ones pay and nothing, and because they work for them, and like they said they wasn't going for it because they are born, can't be no more Caymanian than what they are. So they're not taking the foolishness, and this is actually 4 times that they were working with that company, and they did them the same thing.
Wow.
They keep calling back because they can't do without them. They know that they got a potential, but they don't want to pay nothing, and they're making money. The person, and they don't want to pay them nothing. They won't give them peanut money.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, caller.
That needs to be looking ASAP.
Absolutely.
But that's going on. Plenty.
Yes.
But then, like, it's no bother to protect you. Some people afraid, but them that not afraid and that blows their horn and talk, you still don't get no nothing done or nothing remedied. So sometimes I guess that's why people prefer to stay quiet, because they're sick of preaching and can't get nowhere. So it do make sense to give your breath to something else.
There's strength and power in numbers, and when we get to the point without being causing a riot or civil unrest, this can all be achieved if we just believe in each other and just be there. Like what Sandra is saying, you know, it is said that one person will be at the front of the line and advocating for something, and under the almond tree we'll sit down and this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. And when that time comes, guess what? You look behind you and there's nobody there. That behavior needs to stop.
This is what people say about me. Because one man was telling me that he likes to hear me on the show because what I be saying is true.
What
and then
he
he says some people want to do the thing, but they don't have the spout. If it's good to get out of it, you gonna get it. They gonna get it through you. But then that's it. People do want to stick together. If more people would stick with them that got voice or whatever your problem, may get something done. But that's the thing. Like they say, you want to say they never the cojones or the testicular fortitude to do nothing. They just talk, but you gotta air it, make it come out. Don't make it kill you. Bring it out while you got on your chest. Spit it out. Throw it out.
And you know, the crazy thing, caller, is I get this all the time. Like people cuss me, oh, Sandra, she need mind her own business and this and that. But the time somebody comes to them.
Mouth, but like I say, don't worry about it. My brother tell me.
I don't worry about it because when a situation comes to them,
talk about you when they talk about us, they talking about you because you're on their nerves or whatever. And I can't say what I say can say on the phone. I won't say, but when they talk, they're not talking to your face. They're talking to you. You know what? That can't.
Listen, gotcha. I don't pay them no mind, child, because I know when the ish hits the fan for them, I'm there. I'm on speed dial for them. They know how to find me then. So I don't pay them no mind. I know one thing.
They call you big mouth and call you big nose and big eye and big this.
They're fine.
When they want you to solve a problem, they want to call that two-faced, chin-faced crab. That's just on them. Do worry about them.
Okay.
God give you a mouth to talk, and you know what to talk and when to talk and why can talk and why can't talk. The dummies don't talk, but dummies make noise when they get mad to their room up like the choo-choo train or the cars or whatever. So it's what it is, and like I tell them, they crucify Christ. So what they'll do us, but do what about people? People got people, and you can't change some of them, so make them go.
My dear.
Well, thank you, caller.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Who can't talk is who talks.
Thank you. Thank you for the cowbell memories. Lots of memories.
Yes.
I sure got a horn too.
She still got them handy. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes, Sandra, it is 6:13.
Wow, the time go by. You're gonna have to go to 7 o'clock in the evening.
Look here. Oh no. And we have some persons that are joining us after 6 and are asking what was the topic today. I said at the beginning of this week that we would be doing open mic this week. Of course, we will be having and sharing with you breaking news based on the participation of you or guests or supporters. You're free to call in, and we will. It's open mic this week only because I'm still getting familiarized with all of the operational systems, the boards today. Thank God we've solved the problem out, which could have been solved yesterday. But the two Caribbean girls here didn't plug one thing in. But now we realize we got the phone. We got the phone working.
They say two brains better than one sometimes.
But none were yesterday. There was no brain in here yesterday for how simple that was. But the topic today, we've ranged from a number of things. We dabbled into minimum wage, which was a question that was posed from yesterday, but you were not hearing the caller. And then we went into some issues with being blackballed and the businesses practice. And then there's a law firm that got an administrative fine for being found that they were not employing Caymanians, and they
were giving them I don't even know what you call that, honey child.
So that it's been from one topic to the next, and it has been going on like that. But that is what open mic is all about. this is a long weekend coming up, and I want to let people know that we will start booking guests moving forward. That I am more comfortable. Yeah, Friday, Monday is a public holiday.
We get so many holidays.
And I was just really using this time for Sandra to show me how to even do this live stream.
I hope you know tomorrow you're on your own. I'll be here, but I want you to do it. Because Friday is your last day.
Good night.
So tomorrow now is going to be a test.
Good night.
I'm going to see how you're going to, but we're going to go over some stuff tonight.
I have bags under my eyes because I'm not going to leave the studio tonight, making sure that I actually plays. Yeah.
Don't be afraid. What's the worst that you can do?
Talking to myself and thinking that people are
and you
hearing
have
me.
the board plugged in. So we did that already. We've been there. So it probably can't get much worse.
Yeah. So I'm not going to touch anything. But I want to thank again everyone for their positive feedback. And look, even if there's something that you feel I can improve on, I am not averse to taking any form of criticism.
Well, somebody sent some criticism to me for you.
Talking
about they want you to adjust your lipstick because they're in the makeup industry.
What
and that lipstick is too dark for that color that she's wearing. And she's wearing red. I said, honey child, she's actually not wearing red. This is a coral color at best, orange, burnt orange. And so then they're like, well, tell her to wear a coral lipstick. I'm like, not everybody wants to match.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But maybe a nude because they're trying to say that it's too dark to go with the outfit.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Miss Makeup Artist.
Fair enough.
Look, she's watching.
Oh, that's good.
That's the most important thing.
That's good. That's good. And we know that we will have those. And trust me, the tips mean the world to me, but I'm really not one of those persons with all of these. I have a very dear friend though, that every outfit that she wears, she has the matching lipstick.
Wow.
I am not one of those, but I get your point, and I will definitely make some adjustments tomorrow based on whatever top I can find.
Yes.
But I really like the solid colors since we're going to go to attire and how I present myself here, how I present, period. And I think with all that's happening in the background, that if I have too much going on, I don't want to take away from it, but I want to also be pleasing to the eyes as well. So I take your suggestions and I will definitely work on my lip color. So between Kirk Freeport and Mac, you're sending me there.
More money to spend.
There we go again.
But yeah, people pick and everything, child. I tell them, don't be looking at my hair. Don't come for me about my hair because I just pulls it back. Right now, it needs a little TLC from the salon. Needs to get my color done. But that's not, to me, none of that really matters right now because we got more important topics to be talking about.
Okay, but point taken. And I thank them for their feedback.
All right, Paul joined late. Said, are we discussing immigration issues? So a little bit of open mic, Paul, a couple different things. Now, listen, before we run out of time, we have to spend,
Yes, Miss Marjorie.
Oh.
Go ahead.
We have to spend some time, I think, at least acknowledging that the RCIPS has been working very, very hard on the now murder investigation for Alicity Azalea Powell. And they have charged the mother's boyfriend today with suspicion of murder, with her murder. So I am happy about that from the perspective that this little girl deserve justice. This is not something that should have happened to anyone. There is a press conference tomorrow at 4:00. We will live stream that here for you guys. So please, make sure that you mark your calendars for that. I want to know as much as you what the details are and what's happening. He does appear in court tomorrow as well. That would just be one of those things where he appears in court. They'll, send it up to Grand Court and then we'll go from there. But this is that poor little girl. But from day one, I always felt like he had something to do with it. Even before she was found, the story you were hearing, he said he was outside at 3:00 in the morning having a cigarette, smoking, and supposedly the baby got up to go to the bathroom, and the whole thing just didn't sit well with me. And I felt like he did something to that child. He was upset and did something to that child to harm that child. And then the mother felt like, probably scared of him, that she had to help cover it up. And then the other friend, who is his sister or some mixed up story, felt the necessity to kind of all try to stick to their made up story. And so remember when the mother did the live stream saying that her child was murdered? I think that was like a Freudian video where she knew the child was murdered. I'm like, of course the child was murdered. The child was murdered. But you need to now speak up. And I do believe that one of the tactics that the police utilized when they arrested all of them, more recently, that was the last development that we heard, was to put some pressure on them. Like, somebody's going to go down for this child's murder. Now, you guys can all sit together and act the fool, or we are going to be prepared to have this hanging over you. And so I think at the end of the day, there, somebody probably talked finally. And good for them, because I don't know how a mother can sleep at night and live with herself, knowing that anyone did something to her child and she potentially had information that could be of assistance to the police, and she wasn't providing as much of that information as possible.
But this is we're headed in the right direction of some official closure for that particular incident over there in Camelback, because that impacted the entire all three islands, to be honest. That impact that shook everyone. So I can remember when that news broke and they were looking for this kid. So
it was sad, because we actually found out on air.
You were live.
And I had to end the show soon after that. I was very distraught. So.
Well, definitely, because of the time of the press briefing, which is hoping that they will start on time for 4 p.m. Will be streamed live here on CMR TV, and definitely with us starting at 5. Yep. Oh, well, Lord, yeah.
I may have someone there. We gonna see how it goes.
Okay. But we intend to delve into that and to actually break it down based on me, because I will definitely be tuned in as well, understanding that I have a responsibility now to also report back to you and to engage in this in the conversation. Hello, caller. You're on live.
Hey, I had to call back on this, and I know I can get bashing, but I don't care. Whoever that person was that addressed your lipstick, that go to show that they are a very inquisitive, nosy person. To be noticing you wear a lips. I thought they used to call into here or to solve and they say different strokes for different folks. If it suit you, it needs to suit the world. People shouldn't be so hypocritical, worrying about people.
But Michelle, let's be fair now, because
that is a high of high.
I know, but we've been on here. Okay,
is being too nosy, too fast in business. Sabrina is beautiful.
I know,
and I think she matches that. She look like a ragamuffin. And she look like a ragamuffin. They want to say this so like I just tell them a lot. People can be people. You listen to them about shooting them. If they don't want to look at your lips, tell them don't call into the show, because I'm sure they're not contributing nothing. They only looking tush, news, printer, gossip, or whatever. So that is very, what I call it, tell them, do worry about what color lipstick put on, what suit you, or
what my Honduran people say, que planchera.
That's fine. That's a princera. She's a princera. That's the prince part of the big news thing. They just look at news and want to be gossiping and come forward, see them, see what they wear. So you know what they say, different strokes for different folks. That's why they got all kinds of different colors that stick. What you like, I'm making like, or what somebody just like, because that's what you say. When my daughter was small, I could have picked stuff for her, but she can't pick stuff. I can't pick stuff for her now, because wear a few things I like that she don't like, but we don't have a problem with that, and wear a few things she like that I don't like. So each to his own. So tell them, don't look at your lipstick. If that's what they're calling, to look at your lipstick and talk, please don't come on to the show. You appreciate them kind of people. They need to go smell the roses.
Thank you very much for that defending.
Thank you. Looking nude. You know, be looking you from your head to your toe. Good thing you're not standing up that they can see your foot and everything. That's a very.
I put lotion on mine today, so I think it'd be okay.
Well, I don't care who it is. If it's woman
thank
or
God
man,
we didn't stand up
they
today.
don't like it, come beat me, come fight me.
Thank you, Carla.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle.
Listen, I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit here, because I get it. And I think everybody's different in terms of what they care about. I'm not really fussy about certain things either. I mean, normally I don't wear makeup. I was in Miami this weekend. I bought some little blush and some foundation. I said, here we go again. I'm going to put that down and never use it, wasting my money. But, when people are in the public eye, there is an expectation that you, I suppose, look the part and you look presentable. So, I think Sabrina looks beautiful. She always does. Remember when we were talking about people representing their country, especially when they have to go overseas? Some of them are looking a little bit scruffy with Crocs on and all kind of stuff. We're like, that's not the right look for a world leader, for a country's leader. And Sabrina and Miss Heather and even Kathy, they were the ones who were like, maybe some of y'all need to take some lessons from some other female MPs. But on the flip side of that, I also know that sometimes we're too critical of other women. A man can sit here and look any kind of way. He be crusted, not shaved properly, look like a ragamuffin, everything. And nobody really comments on how he looks or what he looks like. This is the double standard. Yes. And normally it's women, and I'm guilty of this too.
Criticizing other women.
It's women who are going to criticize you on your looks.
Yeah.
But this is the real world that we live in, and we know that people judge you. There's 7 things that people judge about you. Let me put up 7 and not 8, because you're going to be like, please go back to elementary school. There's 7 things that people judge about you when they look at you, including your moral compass. Mm-hmm. So you guys think about it. You see a woman walking on the side of the street, her skirt is short, and she got on high heels. You're going to be like, what is Hoka doing on the side of the street? Mm-hmm. And she might not be. She might be walking to church.
Correct.
You don't know that. But there are 7 things a person's morals, their economic status in life, all sorts of things you
that can
look
impact
at, and you judge a person within 60 seconds of seeing them. Mm-hmm. So that's why they say first impressions matter.
And you never get the second chance to make a first impression.
First impression.
This actually goes into the conversation, the interview that you had with me up at Spots Dock. And I said, one of the things that came up was societal pressures, being able to fit in and having to love yourself and living and walking in your path for yourself. Now, I could look at that suggestion with the color of my lipstick as being constructive criticism. Yeah. It's just a suggestion, but it all goes down to what the caller said. If it is a color that I prefer, it's just finding that balance and loving yourself for who you are. But it does play a part with the society that we live in, what role you're in, and that first impression. Yeah. I got shared a video link today with going women of color and how we show up and how we speak. If you put yourself together, you're considered that you're too uppity based on how you speak, then you're too nuff, and you elevate. But that is used against you when you actually have to do it. And females more, women of color is put under that pressure even more in order to be accepted.
Absolutely.
And that is it. I can go more into that. We have so much topics that we can go on.
You think you're white because you're speaking proper. I mean, that's
exactly.
All.
Yes.
I don't pay him no money.
Yeah.
If I want to speak
I get
proper,
that all the time.
I can do it. If I want to speak like a George Downer, and
but there's a time and place, and you have to look at the industry. You have to be able to fit into all sectors of life. You do not know where you're going to end up. Looking at these podcasts, can be streamed from all over the world.
We have somebody from Jamaica here tonight.
There we go.
People from the UK staying up to watch. Yes,
all
these things
over the world
are extremely important because at the end of the day, authenticity is what's important. If you're not being fake and there's different, like I said, there are different sides to who we are.
Correct.
There are times I can kick off my shoes and lime. Caymanians wouldn't really say lime, but y'all know what I mean. Have a little flex at the barbecue with my Caymanians. We're gonna slap some dominoes. If my Jamaican people come over, they gonna play Lude with Marlon. It's you just have to be comfortable in your own skin. Your own skin. And when you look at the person in the mirror, once you're good with them,
that's all that matters.
Kudos.
Sandra, it is 6:28, and I want to thank, we had an average of over 200 people, including the Instagram page today, and we are building this community, and I know based on the views, even after our show ends, which is at 6:30, that people still go on and view, and they comment as well. Absolutely. I want to thank each and every one of you for embracing me, for welcoming me, and I want to thank you again, Sandra, for standing, being by my side to make this happen. And I look forward for where this show is going to go. And of course, with you being on board, you or viewers who are going to make this a reality and keep it alive. So your feedback, your criticisms, be it good, be it bad, is welcome. And this week, we're not doing hard-hitting topics this week. It's open mic, and we are welcoming you to participate as I get familiarized with reading the screen, definitely dealing with the board, taking your calls, even WhatsApp calls.
Oh, you had a good couple
And
calls
yes,
today,
we
girl.
did.
High
We
five,
did.
high
Yes,
five.
yes, we did it. And we see that
was
we've made the
good.
adjustments for the lighting in here and all of
Yes,
that, the
things
glare.
looking
So I would
good.
say we're well on our way
And
to turn
more
a new
improvements
page.
to come.
Correct. In the coming days
Absolutely.
as we get our guest on. And that was another important thing for me. The branding means a lot to me. And I did not feel that it was right for me to have guests on while I was trying to work this out. That would be a disservice for them. Now, I will have a few friends that I would have come on that they will understand Sabrina's still in learning mode and they wouldn't use that against me. But when we get into the real crooks and cranny that people are paying for their spot, I should be comfortable. There should be no glitches because I want to protect my product. I want to protect my brand. So I want to thank you for your support.
And this was the first
6:30
rollout show for CMR
Yes,
TV. I
yes.
promise you we're going to get it going this
Thank
week.
you, Miss Palmer, Miss Connie, Lynn.
Yes, that's
Yes.
Valencia.
Oh, Miss
We said we were going to get it going this week, and I was a person of my word. We're still working on some website kinks
Yes.
and stuff for you, but I think you guys are going to be so pleased, even within the first couple weeks, of the variety of shows that we have, the content creators that have been working on stuff, and it's just going to be amazing. Now, I'm putting a call out to all Caymanian musicians. If you're a Caymanian and you're a musician and you want to be part of CMR TV, we have a new show. I haven't even named it yet. Platform in mind where we're going to spend some time just playing Caymanian only music.
Yes.
So let me get your CDs. I'm not going to say LPs because I don't got nothing to play that on, but get me your CDs or your MP3s or whatever. And we're gonna be rocking to Caymanian music. We're gonna promote Caymanians.
Correct.
At every corner here on CMR TV. So
Shaka
I'm
Zulu, it was
excited.
Mr. Berman Scott. We played it at the beginning of the show, so we can
honey,
play it
Shaq.
again for those
Okay,
of
hold
you.
on. I want to send you my guy. I be doing a lot for you in the background, Shaq. Let me show you now. I had my guy put a little video overlay on it, but it wasn't ready when we were going live. So I'm gonna forward that to you now. And she hasn't seen this yet.
There's a lot of things that I learned when the mic is hot and the camera is on. So you have been on this journey with me from last week, Wednesday, which today officially is a week.
Yes.
I debuted on
So
Sandra's show
someone
Wednesday
said
last
if
week.
you can the chocolate when you hit 1 month, that would be nice because they're gonna be listening.
Oh, there we go.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
Not a bad. And there are going to be lots of giveaways here.
Yeah, and Sabrina's gonna have her own style. Don't judge her on what I do in the morning or whatever. Everybody has their own style. You know, everybody's unique in their own way. So that's the beauty really of this. So let me just see now. I'm gonna
go away. I noticed the numbers are going down and coming up. We're going to play the intro music and we're going to do the video for you.
Oh yeah. So this is a song, a custom song. Thank you so much for Mr.
Tell your friends to come back on.
He is so amazing. Absolutely love him. And this is a song that he's put together for Sabrina in 24 hours, basically. He's so talented.
Mr. Berman is term.
But we'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 o'clock. But actually tune in at 4 o'clock because we'll be doing the press briefing and then we'll
dissect it on the show tomorrow. But listen to this and watch the video for those persons who are still with us.
Yes.
All 146 on Facebook.
That's Facebook and YouTube.
And YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So we're uploading the video. Just give us 1 second.
Give us 1 second.
Nice music.
And it's hump day. It's Wednesday. So, you know,
absolutely.
Peppers. I'm getting the Peppers vibe. Free plug. Free plug out to, Flo, who stepped up to the plate. Shane. Flo staff, no, before your face, behind your back. Flo has really been very instrumental and very helpful. And Cellular World.
Big shout out to
for the phone. What's her name? Winnie?
Winnie was
Winnie and the crew. Winnie and the crew really helped me. I definitely have to thank them. But Flo, you rock. You rock. All of the team there at Flo.
So here we go. It's ready here. So let's go ahead and play it. So we'll see you guys
tomorrow.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, folks.
Chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You need to hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to this show. Let's get on with the show. She will let you know. So tell it on the streets. Sabrina Speaks. This is the beginning. Be ready to tune in. So tell your friends and family. Tell your brother and your sister. Tell your father and your mother. Tell all your friends and family. Shout it out, Sabrina. Speaking out, Sabrina. Talk about it. Let it out. Shout it out. All about it. Speak it out. People shout. Can't let go. This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got